Issue 221. We started out with Sonic and Sally going to Mina's concert. Really? After what she sang about last time? Wouldn't it be common sense to them that they won't be able to relax the next time? I mean, Antoine wouldn't have gotten mad over her music last time if she was just singing depressingness or not singing at all. She obviously had to have sung about Nicole before. Did they delude themselves and think she got it all out of her system? Well, to be fair, can you sing that many songs about our Nicole that it fills the whole album? Then again, there are like 8 trillion love songs out there that are all about the same thing, and it amazes me that every one has different lyrics. Sonic brings up the fact that while Sally got both their albums at launch, she used to get all quiet every time he brought Mina up. Wait, Sally's just now explaining that she thought Mina was dating Sonic? Really? After all this time? Even after all this time, she's still just as secretive as ever. I like seeing her embarrassed for a change. It humanizes her, but I never liked the art style choice where a character has pink circles below their eyes all of a sudden. They briefly talk about how Sally called it off with Ken and she wants to spend some more time with Sonic as friends to see if dating him again would be rash. Then Nicole mentions that she's the third wheel tonight, and Sally immediately hugs her all adorably. She's in a new outfit, possibly to get people to trust her again from looking different. Sonic snarks about how he can't have a date when he's not alone, even though dates with chaperones can happen, though I don't see how they get romantic without awkwardness from the guy who's just sitting there supervising them. Then after Sonic tries to put his hand on her cap, and it disappointingly glows green, giving her away when you think she'd be fully capable of making a hat solid and normal like everything else in the city, Nicole explains that she's in a disguise because she knows she's not welcome in public. Sonic doesn't believe her, and she says that because she's part of the city systems, she hears things. So, wouldn't she be overwhelmed by hearing literally every conversation in the entire city as it's happening? I mean, how would she choose which to listen to and which not to? How does that even work? And we'll never know. Sally reassures her, and Ixis leaves from the shadows with Jeffrey almost blowing his cover from his horrified reaction. Ixis lampshades that he's defeating the purpose of them hiding in the shadows by being loud, and Jeffrey explains while coughing and gasping that being in the shadows is the worst sensation in the world. I'm getting the sense that he's getting the karma he deserves. For the second time. He tells Ixis that he didn't stick around to teach him more than the basics. Jeffrey reveals out of complete nowhere that he has magic. He's a Mobian, so I believe it, but it's a shame he couldn't use it long before this and be productive to the heroes with it. He says that his magic is subpar, and advises him against personally spying on a concert like this. So he wasn't getting out of the shadows to go attack, he was doing it because of Jeffrey. Jeffrey says that the plan needs the element of surprise, and Ixis explains he's able to sense fear in the air all of a sudden. Well, that was convenient. I mean, it's a good thing for him that he can do this, because otherwise the whole story arc after this wouldn't have happened. When did he ever have this power? I like that Mina's kind of scared about going to sing in the concert, naturally being worried that they'll hate it, both because of the different sound of the pop music and because Nicole's the hero. She has her band blast into an electric guitar, which Sally and Nicole are unhappy with, complaining that Mina's changed. Well, Sonic at least appreciates it like everyone else because of course he loves rock music. He's supposed to. He's Sonic. I bet Scourge would like it too. But why is Sally so surprised when Mina clearly played music about Nicole in front of her last time that should have been like this? And yet all these characters are acting like they got amnesia and they're going to see her concert again for no reason. That's such a forced premise. Mina sings about how she lies awake in her bed, terrified of nightmares. Nicole and Sally start enjoying themselves, which is good. It's not like they always hate rock music. Mina sings that she can't always be jumping at the shadows and running away. It's just then when Nicole starts to get worried about what she's saying. Did she see her jumping at the shadows and running away? I guess she is rightfully paranoid to catch on that quick, I suppose. Mina sings that she won't be afraid, she'll save herself. Then she sings that she is everywhere. But the heroes aren't listening, and everyone's left alone, unprotected. Naturally, Nicole looks horrified, as it's pretty obvious that she's singing about her and inciting an uprising against her. I'd like to point out that for some reason, because I'm reading this in comic dialogue form, I just can't picture that Mina's singing this. So it was annoying me because I was just picturing that she was screaming the lyrics out like a metal band or rapping. I couldn't imagine that she was actually singing the lyrics. But I guess that would work for the tone of the song. Mina sings that they can't live in fear of the city, and Nicole naturally starts to cry, with Sally putting her hand on her shoulder, while Sonic is shown to be a complete idiot and deaf as he somehow didn't catch on and was totally lost in the music. Was he even listening to the lyrics? The crowd starts cheering on that they'll save themselves, and Sonic finally looks over at her as Sally calls Nicole's name. Nicole does the smart thing that anyone would do in the situation if they could, and warps away. Jeffrey says that he didn't think the concern about the nanites was this bad, but then Ixis reveals that it was and it wasn't. Thanks for clearing that up. Jeffrey is stunned, saying that Ixis is using his magic to blow their feelings out of proportion. If he was written well, then this would be the start of him realizing he made a huge mistake and Ixis is a villain who should be stopped. Instead, while he doesn't seem to look like he approves of this isn't really going to be the start of anything. He looks alarmed as Ixis says that just like he did in the Great War, they'll do more than call for reform, they'll be baying for blood. Mina says into the microphone that the heroes need the people to handle threats here at home, and since their government is elected by the people, they have to listen to them. Only if the people can impeach the government. Can they do that? Otherwise, why would they have to? They're already elected. After the concert, Ash screams at Sonic and Sally for getting past security with super speed. Sonic really seems to cross a line here as he says that Mina's concert didn't need his emotional baggage about being sad and misunderstood. What a jerk! He has no respect for emotional music at all. Of course, his life is happy, so why would he be able to relate to it? Mina tells him the message was from her, and Sally naturally tells her that with the amount of power she has with her influence, she has to take responsibility for it. Mina snaps at her that Nicole not only runs the city, but is the city, and that might not be responsible. Nicole's a good person, though, but I get her point about putting someone having that much power over a city. Mina says that when the heroes were half the world away, the civilians were running for their lives, and anywhere they were could be turned into a prison by Nicole. She tells Sally as she glares at her that she saw people legionized here, implying that Sally's not responsible afterwards. I actually kind of like Mina being angry. It's refreshing and badass. Plus, I love that kind of music. I just wish she wasn't turning people against Nicole. Why can't she just keep it all to herself? Oh, right. Ash. Thanks, Ash. Sonic snarks, so we should have stayed and been caught too? As Ash looks proud of Mina. Sally, for some reason, isn't appreciative of his sass against someone who brutally betrayed her friend. And then she reveals the truth to Mina. One thing about Nicole, Mina. She was in full control while we were gone, and she kept up the act to protect as many as possible. She saw all the legionizing firsthand, and she was at your concert. As Mina looks sad, we see Sally cringing, pushing through the crowd, as one of the audience members hopes that Nicole feels it when he stomps on the ground, and another one tells Nicole to quit spying on them, dehumanizing her by calling her a computer. Yep, there's the bigotry kicking in. That really gets me incensed. Sonic complains resentfully, maybe Eggman should come back. See how fast these ink rates go from, "Wah, she's evil," to, "Oh, save us, Nicole, with your force fields." Yes! I love this. You can tell that he's basically boiling with rage and resentment at this. They go to a tree in the dark and ask Nicole to talk to them, with Sally saying that they're still her friends. I could understand if she didn't right now because she doesn't want to be seen crying by them any more than she was already. As Jeffrey has his arms crossed, looking very bitter and resentful, probably of Ixis for doing this, Ixis says that he's really looking forward to the crowd begging him to save them. In the next story, Nicole looks depressed, and aww, Dimitri's going to comfort her. That's so sweet. It makes sense that he'd be on her side. She's an AI, and he's all about technology. He calls her dear child, quite a nice contrast from computer, and asks her if she's alright while acknowledging that he knows what's obviously wrong. She's about to warp away, saying that she won't bother him anymore, being very polite like that. And Dimitri calls her a child again, saying that if she was a bother, he wouldn't have let her weep here all this time. Why did he wait so long to comfort her? Awkwardness? He couldn't have possibly been enjoying it. He explains that he thought it was best to give her some time before voicing his concern. He says that he suspects that Espio is doing the same, as he saw Nicole's reaction firsthand. When Espio pops out, startling Nicole, and asks Dimitri how he knows that when he's been missing for so long, Dimitri explains that he has limited access to the city's network somehow, so he could not only view the concert, but he saw him coming in the front door. So, what, does he have a surveillance camera with surveillance footage? No. Espio acts all paranoid at Dimitri, asking what he's there for. When he calls Dimitri a traitor, he says that he should know what it's like to be branded as a traitor, and asks him if he really came to threaten him with violence. Espio lowers the sword and puts it between his bracelets to sheath them creatively, and explains that he came to see if Nicole was okay. She's paranoid enough at this point to actually ask why, just assuming that he turned on her too, although Espio has the kind of paranoid personality that maybe she thought he was guaranteed to. Espio explains that he considers her as a friend because she helped him find out what happens in the Charmy's country, and because the Iron Dominion used them both. He admits while holding her hand comfortingly that he knows what it's like to lose everyone's trust. Nicole asks him how he knew that she wouldn't just disappear into the system. Dimitri answers for him that Espio knows she's no longer a mere program, calling her child once again in a fatherly way. He explains a program would not run away in fear or weep on the floor. He knew where his friend the Mobian would go. Espio, while being drawn weird like a sort of plush toy, asks Nicole if Knuckles knows. And Nicole says only a select few know, and he's preparing himself to face Knuckles. Dimitri says that Nicole's being kind, and admits that he fears seeing Knuckles at all, and that he's done horrible things, as Espio looks all stunned with his arms crossed. He says, but enough about me. I worry for you, Nicole. If that's not a compassionate sentence, I don't know what is. Maybe I'm being idealistic, but I forgave this guy the minute he proved that he cared about his people. Most villains in the comic only care about themselves. Nicole says sadly that she's at a loss, and she made the city so she could be with the people, by having an organic form of her own there. Nicole asks Dimitri how he dealt with losing control of his power. Nicole was brainwashed, and then under duress. It's kind of a different situation. Dimitri explains that when he was Enerjack, and when he was Grand Master of the Dark Legion, both times he was trying to exert his will of reality and force things to suit him rather than deal with them as they were. He says, and now look at me. Never to be with my family again, my people led astray by my own son, my legacy a twisted, wretched thing serving the Eggman Empire. He admits that while he was selfish, Nicole has the love and support of friends who will help her. He tells Nicole to be brave and face the scorn, thinking for some reason that they can't hate a faceless monster of the shadows when she stands up to them with reason. Oh yes, people can. Reason isn't really going to help here. Dimitri reluctantly asks Espio to arrange a meeting with Knuckles for him, and Espio agrees with a smile, and Nicole holds Espio's hand, saying that she'll help explain everything. While I have an instinct to see this in a romantic way, I know that it's more like Nicole loves affection in general, from being newly organic and stuff, and doesn't see why it has to be exclusive to a boyfriend. This issue is by Ian Flynn. The first story involved Ixis using his powers to exaggerate the fear the people at Mina's concert already had of Nicole, as Jeffrey looks less than pleased with what he's doing, but says beforehand that he has magic that's subpar, so part of his rationalization is that he wants to learn from the best. There's no way there's not at least some sort of magic spell involved, though. Jeffrey wouldn't normally be this stupid. And after Nicole warps away crying, Sally stands up to Mina with cold resentment, telling her that Nicole was in control almost the entire time, while not explaining to her how she got her control back, and explaining how long exactly she was brainwashed. Sure, Mina looks sad afterwards, but I was worried that Sally was just making things worse, by revealing that Nicole doesn't even have to be brainwashed for things to go awry. She just has to need to make someone think she is. If Mina was truly considered one of them, like Sonic said, she would have been filled in on the details pronto, and we might have avoided this whole situation. Or not, she was still traumatized, and she knows Nicole's a hero and still turned everyone against her. Ixis or not, that wouldn't have happened without her. And the second story was surprisingly great, as we get to see Nicole interacting with people she rarely has one-on-one talks with. Dimitri, who naturally sides with her, and Espio, who knows what being turned against and used by the Iron Dominion is like. We see the most absolute confirmation that Dimitri isn't nearly as selfish as he used to be, and is showing compassion. He gets my sympathy by being afraid of talking with Knuckles, and Espio agrees to arrange a meeting with them with 2 people on his side. It's heartwarming and touching, and we wouldn't have had this moment if it weren't for the previous story.